Hi, Jasmine. I'm glad you're here today. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, I received a referral from the oncology nurse, but can you tell me a little bit more about why you're here today?
Yeah, I've been having problems with fatigue and some anger issues too. I have a 2-year-old son. I work third shift at Walmart and I don't feel like I get any support at home from my boyfriend. I feel like I've been mad at the world since my cancer diagnosis and I'm exhausted pretty much all the time. I feel like the fatigue is affecting my work and also the time I try to spend with my son. When I'm not working, I just want to sleep all the time.
So, you're feeling very fatigued and angry, and you also feel like you're not getting the support you need from your partner. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. I'm so tired all the time. And I feel like I do everything around the house and for my son. And it makes me really mad. I mean, I was the one who had cancer, not my boyfriend.
Well, can you talk about any other support you have other than your partner?
Yeah, my mom lives here too, and she helps out some. But I don't really have any friends here, so that kind of makes it harder. But my mom's been really good about supporting me through my diagnosis.
Well, I'm glad to hear that your mom is close and that she provides support for you. Can you tell me a little bit more about your relationship with her and how she helps you?
My mom and I are pretty close. We actually moved here so I could be closer to her. We go to her place, and she comes to ours about once a week, and she babysits for us when she can. When I do get really down or mad and I just need to vent, I can always call her, and she lets me. But she still works part-time, and she just got married again last year, so it seems like she hasn't had as much spare time lately.
So you have a good relationship with your mom, but since she's been remarried, she's not available to you as she was before. Is that right?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about your cancer diagnosis?
Yeah, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer about 5 months ago, and I had surgery and hormone treatment. Everything just happened so fast, and I was really scared. I'd never even heard of thyroid cancer before my diagnosis. I had a really hard time understanding my doctors, and I kind of felt like I really had no say in my treatment. They just told me what they were going to do, and in the long run, I'm sure they were right. I wish I had a better understanding of my cancer treatment, and I really wish they had told me how I could be affected emotionally by the treatment. Anyway, I was here for a follow-up last week, and that's when I told the nurse I was having problems, and she suggested I talk to you.
Well, how did your follow-up appointment go?
It went really well. They said I'm cancer-free and my prognosis is good. But I'm just so really mad that when I was diagnosed and going through treatment, I felt like there weren't any resources for people with thyroid cancer. I feel like if I had been diagnosed with breast cancer, then I would have had all kinds of resources available to me, but I felt like I had nothing.
Well, it's great that you're cancer-free today and that your prognosis is good, but it sounds like you didn't have helpful resources when you were going through treatment.
That is so right. I was really scared, and I was worried about trying to pay the medical bills, and I wasn't getting any support at home.
So, do you think you'd be interested at this point in checking into some support resources?
Yeah, that sounds great.
I can give you some information on some local organizations that provide a variety of free services and programs for people who have had cancer. If it's something you think you'd be interested in, I can connect you with a support group for people who have had a cancer diagnosis.
Could you tell me more about that?
Sure, it's a support group of people who have all had a cancer diagnosis, so they all have similar experiences as you have. The group is led by a clinical psychologist, and it's a really great place to share with people who understand what you're going through and can validate your feelings. It's also quite possible that through these organizations you could be connected with an individual who has been diagnosed with thyroid cancer specifically.
That sounds like it could be really awesome.
All right, well, I'll give you the contact information before you leave today. So can you tell me a little bit more about your work and your home life?
Yeah, right now I'm working third shift at Walmart, and I do not like it at all. I had an apprentice teaching certificate, but I stopped teaching to have my son, and then we moved here and it expired. So I took the job at Walmart because we needed more money to pay off my medical bills after my surgery. But I really love teaching, and I would love to get back into it. My boyfriend works full-time for the county, Monday through Friday, during the day, so we basically have opposite schedules right now, and I really don't get to spend much time with him. And I also think that's putting a lot more stress on our relationship.
Sure. Well, it sounds like you were a great teacher and you really like to be teaching again. Do you know what it would take to make that happen?
Well, I really did love teaching, and my last teaching job was teaching third graders. It was just so rewarding and great to see the effect of my work on the kids. and I really miss it. I need to call the Tennessee Department of Education to find out what I need to do to get reinstated. I'm planning on doing that next week. If I got back into teaching, I'd also be working days again, so I would actually be able to spend some time with my boyfriend, and I think that would help a lot with our relationship, and a daytime job might actually help the fatigue.
Well, that's great. So how are things going at home between you and your partner right now?
Pretty good. I know he loves me, and he works hard and treats me well, but he doesn't really care for our son, and he doesn't help around the house much, and I think my cancer diagnosis kind of freaked him out. But he seems to be handling that better now that I've got a good prognosis. With my work schedule, it seems like we don't see each other much at all, and I'm so tired all the time, and I don't really feel like doing anything on my days off but sleeping, and I feel like I'm in a bad mood just all the time, and we don't ever seem to have fun together anymore. I mean, our relationship had always been good before I was diagnosed with cancer, but I feel like we've always had some communication problems. He tends to keep everything inside a lot of the time, and I'm not really sure what he's thinking.
Well, can you think of anything that might make things better at home?
I'm not sure. I think if I could start teaching again and we had similar schedules, that would help. And it just seems like if I could get rid of the fatigue, my relationship might improve too. And if he could learn to communicate more and tell me what he's thinking, then I think that would help. And I've thought about asking him to go to a couples counselor, but I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, if that is something he's willing to do, I'd be more than happy to refer you to a therapist that specializes in couples counseling.
Well, I'll be glad to talk to him and let you know what he says.
Okay. Well, you also mentioned earlier you didn't have many friends here. How do you feel about that?
I feel lonely. You know, we moved here right after my son was born, and I was staying at home with him, and then I had to go back to work, and I never really had much of an opportunity to really meet other people here. So other than going to my mom's or going to work, I feel really isolated at home, and I haven't been working that long, so I really haven't had a chance to make friends.
Well, what kind of things do you enjoy doing in your spare time?
I love hanging out with my son and going to the park. I also really like to read and go to the library, and I love movies. My boyfriend and I, we used to watch movies all the time, and we both really love movies, but we haven't done that much since my diagnosis. I mean, we watch Netflix sometimes, but we don't really have the chance to watch a movie together very often with our work schedules being so different.
Well, it sounds like you do have some things you enjoy doing. Would it be okay with you if I made a couple suggestions?
Sure, that'd be great.
Well, since you enjoy reading so much, you might want to join a book club. There's several in the community, and that wouldn't be a financial burden to you because they're free.
I would love that.
I also know of a mommy group that gets together once a month, and they do different activities like going to the zoo or going to a city park or an ice cream shop. Is that something you'd be interested in getting involved in?
I definitely would. I've just felt so isolated since we moved here 2 years ago, and I've been so busy with the baby and with being diagnosed with cancer. I just haven't had the energy to get out and meet other people. My boyfriend's kind of a loner, so he doesn't really mind. But I would love to make some friends and have people to hang out with and do things with.
Great. Well, we haven't talked about your fatigue yet. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I've been having a real problem with that ever since my surgery. I went to my regular doctor a few weeks ago, and he put me on antidepressants and said that should help. He also said it might help with my anger issues too. I haven't been taking it for very long though. I'd really like to get back into exercising too.
Well, it sounds like your fatigue started right after your cancer surgery, and that you're hoping the antidepressant will help with that. If you were to start exercising again, what would that look like, you think?
Well, I heard some of my coworkers at Walmart talking about how there are tons of different workout programs online that are free, which would be great. So that's something I would totally like to look into. And I've been thinking about getting out and walking with my son in the stroller. I think that could be really beneficial for both of us.
Well, those are both great ways to get back into exercise. What about your anger issues? Can you think of ways you might work on that?
Well, my doctor said the antidepressant should help with that, but I just feel like being able to talk with someone and get all this out makes a really big difference. And I'm sure I'd be less mad if I had more energy and things kind of improved at home. I think being able to teach again would also make a difference.
Well, that all makes sense. And we've talked about a lot today, but could you say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not at all motivated and 10 being very motivated, how motivated you are today about making some of the changes we talked about?
I'd say I'm feeling about an 8. I'm feeling really motivated right now.
That's great. So to summarize our session, you came in today with concerns about isolation, lack of support, anger about your diagnosis, and fatigue. It definitely sounds like you're motivated to do some things to change, and we talked about some things you might do. I've got a change plan worksheet that I think might be helpful if you'd like to take a look at it. With the change plan worksheet, we can put on paper your change goals and plan of action to achieve those goals. What do you think about that?
I think that sounds just great. I feel so much better already just sitting down and being able to talk about it and coming up with some things I can do to handle all of these things.
Well, I think you have some great ideas, and I look forward to working with you to helping you reach your goals.